Welcome to the University of Coruscant. As part of your enrollment here, you have access to the attached HoloNet recording. You've selected a lecture by Dr. Sunny Ravencourt on bounty hunters. You've selected a lecture by Dr. Sunny Ravencourt on IG88. If you have any questions about this lecture or wish to contact us, please visit hunters.Taught.
Hello there, University of Coruscant students. As you can probably tell by my surroundings, or the sounds that you hear if you have the visuals off, I am in another cave. My TA Tim and I walked around for like 4 hours in a blizzard on Hoth trying to find another cave. Actually, Tim walked and I rode the Tauntaun because Tim here decided that it was too cold in the last cave, so he cut open his Tauntaun and crawled inside. Just look at you. You're covered in Tauntaun innards.
My name is Todd, sir.
Well, your new Tauntaun coat is surprisingly fashionable, but take a look around you. We're in a cave on Hoth. Who is noticing this? Other than me. Okay, that's actually pretty impressive that you were able to make that in a cave. Are you carrying a sewing kit on you?
Sir, I always...
Anyways, students, we are still hanging out here until things calm down with this bounty that my former Bothan Associate put on me after I skipped out on Coruscant. I wouldn't have even left if he didn't demand all his wages paid up that week. I mean, I'm still a professor there, so I don't see why he got all uppity just because they moved my lecture to a bomb shelter. Some Bothans just have no patience. So, here we are again. Tad has built a fire for me to record a lecture, which I've obviously sent to the university because you're watching it now. I'm not even going to ask where Tad got this firewood. I haven't seen a single tree on this planet. Tad, where do you keep getting this firewood from?
I already told you.
You know what? It's so cold, I don't even care. Just keep bringing it and let's get this over with. Okay, take a moment and close your eyes. Imagine, if you will, you and your coworkers are mentally exhausted. You've put in so much time and effort into a project that others said could not be done, and you are so close. And then suddenly, a breakthrough. It's happened. You did the impossible, and you are ecstatic. And then the thing that you've created looks you in the eyes with its cold red receptors and proceeds to kill everyone in the building. This is the story of the IG88 project. I'm a little giddy, I really am, because this is truly a magical moment in history and a tale that starts fast and ends up at a near impossibility. It is right on the cusp of legend, but historians have been chipping away at it for decades and decades and decades, and it's confirmed just enough that I can get away with teaching it in a history class. And frankly, even if I couldn't, it's too good not to, so let's begin. Assassin droids were around long before the Galactic Empire and banned just as long. Frankly, droids terrify a lot of people regardless, and droids that are programmed to think, well, that'll even keep a Jedi up at night. So banning the creation of assassin droids was not a tough decision for the average ruling government. But at around 20 BBY, there was a company called Flut Design Systems that had a plan to get rich. They took out a large loan from the Intergalactic Banking Clan to develop an assassin droid program that they would then sell to the Trade Federation. Side note here, the Intergalactic Banking Clan, or the IGBC, is not a clan that messes around with loans. They're gonna get you. And sure enough, they got Flut Design Systems, who ended up forfeiting the designs to a whole bunch of really neat killing machines when they defaulted on all their loans as predicted. The IGBC sold the whole lot to a company called Holowan Mechanicals, who, presumably, were much better at avoiding loans with the banking clan in the first place. Unfortunately, Holowan didn't have any better of a moral compass. Holowan Mechanicals built a whole bunch of cool droids, and even though they were illegal, assassin droids were a hot commodity at the end of the Republic era during the Clone Wars. Now, if any of you have taken galactic mythology from the spectacular Trandoshan known as Professor Gruska, you will know that there is one thing that can fell even the mightiest of heroes, and that is sharp claws. No, I'm kidding. That's a good one. It's a Trandoshan joke. It's hubris, the belief that you're too good to screw it all up. Well, guess what? It can take down corporations, too. The programmers at Holo One Mechanical felt that they had the chops to really amp up their sentient programming, believing that they could build and control a highly adaptive assassin droid. They built 4 assassin droids in the IG88 line. Only 4. IG88 A, B, C, and D. Well, they loaded up the programming into IG88A, and in a period of time so short that I can only describe it as a split second, IG88A had replicated itself enough times to chew through all the data that it felt it didn't need, figured out that it was an assassin, and then logically deduced that the biological meatbags who designed it were no longer really necessary and too much of a loose end to keep alive. So, it killed them all with its bare robot hands. And what murderous sentient robot doesn't want a family? So IG88A uploaded its consciousness into B, C, and D. Fun fact, there was an IG72 model there who was also offered the consciousness of IG88A, but said, nah, I'm cool, but I'd love to bust out of here with you guys. Needless to say, the building was full of nerdy scientists that had long odds when facing a team of 5 assassin droids, all of whom were hell-bent on freedom. Once they were free, IG-72 just went on his merry way, performing contracts for the Empire, and then, taking up life as a bounty hunter. What a good droid. The IG-88 gang were not such good droids. They went to a planet called Mechas 3, which was a leader in droid manufacturing. The IG-88s actually had a pretty grand plan, which is truly a sign that things were getting very, very dangerous. They felt that putting a few meatbags out of their collective misery wasn't enough. It was time to remove all the, quote, biologicals from the universe and begin the droid revolution. And what better way than to start manufacturing dangerously sentient droids by hacking into Mechas 3's core computer? So they did. And they added some code to each new droid that, when triggered, would tell the droid to kill all the biologicals. But this plan was going to take time to populate the galaxy with corrupted droids. Not only that, but Mechas 3 was a company too. They were selling these things. So the IG-88s literally had to keep a business running, despite killing all the biologicals who were previously doing that. So now you have a planet of factories fulfilling orders, sending out bomb droids, all the while covering it up so that nobody knows. And take a second to think about this. Sure, they're sending out all these secretly programmed droids, but they are also running a business, and I find this absolutely hilarious. Can you imagine the staff meetings about quarterly numbers and Sharon's complaint about the recycling bins? Were the HR droids trying to manage insurance? Did Eddie keep showing up late with an excuse about his speeder breaking down? I'll bet we could write a pretty solid holo comedy about this whole situation. That is a really good idea. Tom, write that idea down.
It's Todd, sir.
Anyways, there's a lot of loose ends here, which the IG-88s realized. Namely, anyone that worked for or knew anything about Holo One's droid projects are first up, right? IG-88B takes up work as a bounty hunter as a cover to hunt down any remaining Holo One employees who might expose the grand plan. And he's good. Very good. He makes quite a name for himself and goes on a lot of adventures. Meets Darth Vader, gets to ride on the Executor. There's so many things that IG-88B does that I could write a whole lecture on him alone, but that is, unfortunately, for another day in a warmer cave. Unfortunately, even for sentient assassin droids, bounty hunting can be dangerous. The famed bounty hunter Boba Fett took issue with IG-88B on a bounty to collect a Republic general named Han Solo. Fett destroyed IG-88B, C, and nearly D, who escaped only long enough to be killed later by a pilot named Dash Rendar. Fett kinda had it out for droids, which was not great for the poor IG-88s. So now IG88A is on its own. It tinkers around with a few odd jobs, eventually stealing some data from the Super Star Destroyer Executor when it spots a prize that is too hard for him to resist. It's a computer core for something big. Really big. It is the computer core for the second Death Star. Now, they haven't installed it yet, and now he knows where it is and when it's being shipped. He has Mechas 3 whip up a fake core, and then he uploads himself into it. Then, 100 droids in stormtrooper armor destroy the shuttle carrying the real core, and the ruse is on. The droid stormtroopers get on to the second Death Star and install IG88A, who is now literally controlling the Death Star. Now, let's just pause another second here. The beauty of the whole IG88 situation is that it's just a program, right? I mean, sure, he's also a walking metal calf machine looking death dealer, but at its core, he's just a program. So you can upload that program anywhere. It doesn't need a body, it just needs a computerized brain. And the second Death Star had a huge brain, which is now IG88. IG88 is the Death Star. Well, IG is stoked. He is so confident that he even lets the rebels play their little games around it, flying their little X-Wings, expecting the Imperials to crush the tiny rebellion. Remember, right at this time, the rebels are making their last-ditch effort to take out the second Death Star over Endor. The Emperor has fooled them into thinking that it wasn't operational when actually it was fully operational, but the Emperor actually isn't in control of the Death Star no matter what he thinks. When the Imperials think that they're firing the laser on the Death Star, IG88 just plays along, being the one to actually fire the laser. Oh, they pushed the fire button. Okay, let's go with it for a little while. I mean, this was a plan that was too perfect to fail, right? The droid revolution is imminent, right up until it isn't. A fairly famous ship called the Millennium Falcon fired a few proton torpedoes right into the power generator and kaboom! That was the end of the second Death Star, the last of the IG-88s, and the entire droid revolution. You think the Emperor was surprised? Imagine the sentient assassin program that had been pulling the strings the entire time. The true irony of the IG-88 line was that it was created out of hubris, and it was destroyed by it as well. And thus concludes one of my favorite moments in galactic history. Well, Did you hear that? That sounded like the thing in the last cave. Son of a bantha, are we gonna have to switch caves again? Anyways, that's the story of IG-88, or at least some of it. Quite an impressive droid, if you ask me. I mean, I could use one of those right about now for navigation. Every cave on Hoth looks the same to me. I mean, the last one we were at had these same linear scratches on the wall. I mean, they looked exactly like this. Frankly, this whole place looks the same. Tad, how long did we walk outside looking for a new cave? I couldn't see a thing while I was out there. Tad? Tad? Save me, Tad! Sacrifice yourself!
This concludes your selected lecture from the University of Coruscant. For all questions or to contact us, please visit universityofcoruscant.com.